Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the NBL1 show. It is crunch time. Can you believe it is the final home and away round for 3 of our conferences, Central, North and South, the penultimate round for East and West. We can't wait to see how these ladders take shape heading into finals, and of course the national finals heading to WA next month. We can't wait for that. Stay tuned, we'll have lots more details about that big showcase weekend of NBL1 basketball to come. Well, it was First Nations round at the weekend, and it was amazing to see the incredible artwork and storytelling told by our clubs, communities and conferences right around the country. But it continues in Central this weekend with the Eastern Mavericks having a very special celebration, recognising their history, their culture and their heritage. So we're looking forward to seeing all that happens this weekend for them. They will have lots of things happening during their ceremony, and they've got juniors presenting the senior NBL1 players with their jumpers, so we wish them a great weekend. Well, one of our experts, John Guana, can't be with us this week, so we're subbing in Mikaela Ruef, the Logan Thunder star. Can't wait to chat to her. She's having an incredible season, averaging 21 rebounds a game, if you don't mind. But it is time to catch up with our experts, so let's get into it. Well, there's just one round to go in the regular season of NBL1 South, and to discuss all that's happening and more, Matt Hickey joins me as he always does. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, how you doing? Just quietly, I'm going to need to fix my lighting in the future because I'm looking like Edward Cullen on this cross, but we'll get through it.
Now, Bendigo are 20 zip in NBL1 South Women. It's an incredible record, and they did it for a few weeks without one of their superstars, but she was back, and she was back in business at the weekend.
Yeah, she certainly was. Amy Atwell, take a bow. What a very, very impressive weekend. She had 39 points and 12 rebounds in just 27 minutes. So talking about getting it done in a hurry. And that was against Nunawading and Bendigo, a big 105-72 win. They've got one final weekend to potentially go the whole season undefeated. And when you look at the games they're playing, they should... Well, I mean, they've won every game, so of course they should win every game based on form. However, 2 very, very winnable games for them, so could end 22-0.
So Amy Atwell coming off her Opals debut at the Asia Cup, where the Australian women's team won a bronze medal, and one of her Opals teammates also put together some big stats at the weekend.
I mean, she always does. Annalie Maley up against Kilsyth playing for Eltham. It was a win for Eltham, 77-62. She just seems to always stuff the stat sheet for stats nerds like myself. It's just amazing. We love it. She had 24 points, 22 rebounds, a 20 and 20, another one. We've had a few of those in the NBL1 season. 6 assists and 3 steals, because why not just chuck 3 steals in there as well?
But there was an even bigger stat line for one NBL1 South women's player at the weekend. Her team had a double-double, and she put up some insane numbers.
Yeah, Sarah Ellsworthy, big weekend, that is for sure. They went down to Ringwood on Friday night in what was a thrilling contest, 72-71. Came home with a win against Ballarat on Saturday. But you look through her numbers. So on Friday night against the Hawks, she had 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals. And then on Saturday, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 6 steals. So just doing a little bit of everything, Sarah Ellsworthy.
And then some big numbers too across in the men's side of things. Let's start with last week's player of the week. Speaking of Ballarat, and he might just do the same again this round.
I mean, he'd feel pretty stiff if he didn't, considering the weekend he had. 2 very big games for Tyler Rudolph. The first one against Geelong, that was a thrilling game. Another game for Ballarat where both teams ended up over 100 points. So they're playing some very entertaining basketball. They won 107-104 against Geelong. He had 39 and 12, probably ruining, not quite getting over the 40 mark, but 39, near enough is good enough. And then came through with another big stat line later on in the weekend, 32 points, 16 rebounds, 4 steals. If he doesn't win player of the round, he might have a case to argue.
Someone who will be contending for that title this week was also just under the 40-point mark.
Yeah, Jonathan Lawton on Wednesday night. How good is weeknight hoops? We love it during the school holidays. It gives us something to do on a Wednesday night when we'd normally be sitting home watching something random on Netflix. Against Waverley, he had 38 points. And to be fair, he got to 38 with 2 to 3 minutes to spare. So he had a little time to get the 40. Couldn't quite get it done, but 38 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. You'll still take it, I think.
And Sam McDaniel will take his weekend.
Yeah, certainly was. Big weekends galore. I mean, forget about Taylor Swift. The big ticket was the NBL1 South because it was all happening. Sam McDaniel, 27 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists versus Mount Gambier. That was a win, 102-87. A really, really good win, that one. And then followed it up with 28 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists versus Keilor, in another win as well. So some great play from him.
Let's look ahead to the final round. Lots of important games that will make up the final ladder positions, but we'll start with the Supercats men, who are going to miss the finals for the first time since 1997. That is an incredible stat in itself.
Yeah, brutal stat, and they may have let a couple slide over the weekend. I think they would have come in on Friday night expecting to beat Ringwood, but couldn't get over the line. It's a tough break for them because they certainly have the roster to get in there. But I guess good news for them against that is Gabe Hadley securing an NBL contract. So a great job from him after an excellent NBL1 South season.
So what are you looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, happens to be in the same building. Eltham versus Diamond Valley. It's going to be a massive doubleheader there. So in the men, it's 5th versus 8th. So really interesting contest there, and with the chances of pushing around the ladder, as some teams have got one game to play, other teams have got 2 games to play, so still a lot of movement to be had. And then in the women's, 8th versus 9th, so pushing for that one final spot. All the stars are back in town, as we've mentioned, so it's going to be an action-packed weekend.
Yeah, it is going to be thrilling, and this time next week we'll be talking about finals, so can't wait for that, Matt, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, countdown's on.
Well, John Guana is away this week for our NBL1 North chat. We've brought in the ultimate sub. She's the Queen of Queensland in WNBL and NBL1 North. Hello, Mikaela Ruef.
Hello, I like that nickname.
And how do you feel about filling in for John Guana? Because he is just a basketball expert. He's wonderful, and you're filling his shoes this week.
I'm not sure I'm an expert, but I'll try my best.
You're an expert on the court, having another amazing season for Logan. It's been a pretty great year for you all round with basketball, a championship with Townsville Fire, and who knows, hopefully a title with the Thunder.
Yeah, that would be great. That's obviously the ultimate goal, but we'll see how we go.
Let's talk about your numbers. They are insane. So you're averaging 22.5 points per game, 21 rebounds and 5 assists. Is the rebounds the most impressive part of that stat line for you?
I mean, I think I would say on the outside, that's probably the most impressive. I think my point should probably be a little bit higher and my rebound should probably be a little bit lower. You know, if I made the first layup the first time, then it would probably be a little bit lower rebounds and a few more points.
Tell me about how much it means, Logan, the basketball club and community to you. Obviously played there for a few years, such an unbelievable organisation. You've had so much success, but we certainly get the idea from the outside looking in that it is just a really tight basketball unit.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably the reason why that I've, stayed here for so many years. I think it's a club full of really good people. You know, the team that we've put together, we've had the same core for about, I don't know, as long as I've been here now, 4 or 5 years. And it's just fun to play with each other. And I think, we really like playing with each other. We like each other off the court. And so it makes, doing the little stuff on the court easy because you do it for people that you care about.
So tell me about Mikaela Can. Obviously 2 Mikaelas is better than 1.
Yeah.
She's amazing, isn't she? Obviously had 3 kids. She came back so quickly last year to play after having the 3rd, but she continues to be a powerhouse for Logan.
Yeah, definitely. She's pretty amazing. You wouldn't realize how young she actually is. She's younger than me, but she definitely is way more mature, to come back from, having 1 kid, let alone 3 separate pregnancies is pretty insane. And, it just speaks, volumes about her resilience and just persistence to come back and play and how much she loves the game. So, yeah, she's pretty amazing.
Obviously, you guys are 2 of the big weapons in this team that currently sits second on the ladder with a 17-13 record. But it really is a team of role players and a very consistent output from this Thunder team, particularly this season.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's one thing that's that's good about our team is that everybody knows what their role is and they really buy into it. Like, for example, Chevy Palvas, she's the best defender in the league. She can guard anybody from the point guard on the other team to the best post player, the five. So, and having someone like her that's willing and enjoys doing the dirty work and being the defensive stopper and not really doing as much on offense, it's pretty invaluable to have somebody like that on the team. And so I think it just, goes to show that everybody on our team like does their role because they want the best for the team. They want to win.
The top positions on the women's ladder at the moment are very fascinating how it's been unfolding over the last few weeks. Where do you see things at in terms of the teams that are around you?
I think, there's some teams that have been surging through the end of the season, like us. We're on a pretty good winter streak. And then also the Spartans, they're doing well, and they've been, on the build towards the end of the season. And there's some other teams that have been dropping off a bit, like Darwin was up in the top 4 last week, and then they went on a road trip and lost 3 games. So I just think it's pretty crazy to see how, the ladder can change with one weekend. You lose a couple of games and all of a sudden you go from second, third place to 7th. So it's pretty insane.
Now, Mikaela Ruef, I'm not calling you old by any stretch. You're experienced, but 3-game road trips, that is something that is unique to NBL1 North. How the hell do you do it?
Well, that's lucky for me. I play in the southeast part, so we only have 2-game road trips. But those north teams that come down from Townsville, Darwin, Rocky, things like that, they have at least 1, sometimes 2 per year, I think. And I don't know how they do it. I can't do it. So that's why I play in Logan.
That's a good point. Let's talk about WNBL. You played such a huge role in the Fires. What was it? 16 straight wins in the end to win the WNBL championship last season. How special was it to be a part of that?
Yeah, again, it was awesome. It was more about the group of girls that we did it with. Like I said, similar to my Logan team, like it's a bunch of people that you actually enjoy being around. We have fun. We had fun outside of training. And then I think that just really showed on the court that, we all liked each other. So we did the little stuff to get us over the line, especially in some of those close games that could have gone either way. I think it was just our chemistry off the court that, showed on the court.
And 2 new teammates at Townsville next WNBL season, both in the Opals program, but both have been playing in NBL1 at different stages this season in Sammy Whitcomb and Alice Kunek. I bet you had a big smile on your dial when the Fire signed those 2.
Yeah, definitely. Sammy's been a phenomenal player in WNBL for many, many years. So it'll be really, really exciting to play with her. And then Alice has been over in Europe and killing it over there, and I think she's really improved her game a lot. So it'll be awesome having those 2 join us, and there are 2 veteran presences that will just add to the experience of our team, I guess, and help us to hopefully win more championships.
Can you win another championship to finish off 2023, Mikaela Ruef?
That's the plan. That would be the ultimate goal. I think that would be pretty cool, and I think we have the team to do it, so that'd be awesome.
There's no doubt about that. Thank you for your time today. Always great to chat to you, and we look forward to seeing your continued form in NBL1 North as the finals roll in.
Thank you so much.
Well, round 14 has just been completed in NBL1 West. Action-packed as usual, and to take us all through it is Greg Hire. Welcome, Greg.
Meg, thank you. You're looking sensational this week.
Oh, thank you. I'm shredding, so obviously just glowing. Let's talk about Willerton because they made a big statement at the weekend.
Yeah, they've been in formidable form these last few weeks, and there was a little bit of a hiccup, I guess, the bump in the road, and I think the addition of Melissa Brankovic from Europe has sort of, I guess, catapulted them into now, top 2 consideration. They had a massive win against Billy Abuja, who are known as Kerburn this weekend. But massive game by her. She's been on a tear the last few games. She's been averaging 25 points. She had a 31 point and 14 rebound game against the Perry Lake Hawks last week, and then backed that up with 25 points against the Cougars. With that, like this Willerton outfit, Simon Parker, their head coach, he's won championships, they've been thereabouts. You've got Alex Sharp and Desiree Kelly, who, as we spoke about, Alex Sharp, she's a double-double machine. But I think having the contribution of a player like Amy Jacobs, a Willerton junior, she went to college, came back, she had 15 and 10, and in order to win a championship, your I guess your studettes are going to get it done. Melissa, Desiree, Alex Sharp, they'll get it done. To have a performance like Amy Jacobs to do that against the top of the table Cougars, positive sign. So, yeah, it's interesting. Now they're tied with Joondalup for that second spot. Cougars more than likely will finish on top, but very positive signs as they head into the playoffs.
You had me at studettes. I love that.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that. Let's talk about Joondalup because they have continued or returned to their winning ways.
Yeah, 2-0 over the weekend. Expected, but a tricky encounter. I mean, the Eastern Suns are playing for their lives at the moment, and we'll speak about Natalie Chow from UCLA. She was incredible this weekend, but no, they got two big wins. They went against Mandurah Magic, who have beaten some high-caliber opposition throughout the season. Tage Morale was again dominant. She averaged 25 points over the weekend. Emma Clestorney provided a really good game on Saturday, but there's a little bit of concern. Robbie Ryan was subbed out early in the second quarter. She is formidable. She's a huge part of that, that championship push. Last year, she suffered a calf strain towards the back end of the season. I'm not sure what injury, and hopefully it's not a big concern. But yeah, definitely, hopefully not a big thing, but that could be troubling towards their championship push as well.
Yeah, we're definitely going to watch this space on Robbie Ryan and that niggle for her. So you've told us a little bit about the top four, but there's a bit of a contest within the contest for the top two.
Yeah, well, we spoke about that, and now obviously that top four set, I think Cougars will obviously finish on top. They're a game clear and would have to be the biggest upset in the NBL1 fixture this year if they lose these next few games. Rockingham basically locked in for fourth, but that jostle between Joondalup and Willerton for second and third is going to be very interesting, and they'll play over this next couple of weeks. They play formidable opposition, percentage points and the likes. It's going to be very interesting, and we know that top two is massive, right? Getting that double chance. But that top eight, it will come down to Lakeside and Eastern Suns, and they'll come down to this weekend. Lakeside play Warwick and Joondalup back-to-back this weekend. If they can pinch one game of that weekend, that basically locks them in for top eight. Eastern Suns play East Perth, which you would expect for them to win. So I love it. It's not like the field set. Obviously, teams are still jostling for seeding, but it's going to be a very tantalising matchup this weekend.
Let's have a look at the men's side of things now. We know it's the business end of the season or coming very close to because Rockingham are doing their thing.
Oh, statement made, Meg. It was one of those juicy encounters, top of the table clash. Perry Lakes have played well in the past against Rockingham Flames, but geez, they just smashed them from the get-go. And I mean, that's warning signs across the NBL1. And they had performances across the board. Javondrick Walker led the game again with 29 points, but Marshall Nelson, he had a pretty solid game, 20 points and 6 rebounds and 8 assists. But Jeremy Combs, he was a defensive beast. He had 6 steals and 2 blocks and really changed the game. And to think of how scary that was, Tom Jervis came off the bench because he enjoyed a holiday, so he was in the starting lineup. Ryan Godfrey made his return after suffering concussion symptoms for the last 4-5 weeks. That was his first game. To beat, the team that was second by over 20 points, that's a statement and a half. And they're flying towards this back in the season. I think they'll finish on top. They play Goldfields to finish off and Warwick. 2 really good matchups to prep yourself for the finals. But if you're the Rockingham Flames, no pun intended, they're playing like a house on fire right now.
And Godfrey is such a huge inclusion for them, isn't he? Obviously a leader, a veteran and a great player. So that's a huge boost for them over the next couple of weeks. Let's talk about the Redbacks because they had a bit of a unexpected round.
Yeah, it was like a real Jekyll and Hyde, like they they've been inconsistent. It's plagued them this last few weeks. We spoke about them that they need to get back on the horse this week, and they go against East Perth Eagles, who have struggled all season. They dropped that game on East Perth Eagles' home court, which you're not expecting, and then they go against Geraldton Buccaneers. Geez, maybe 12 hours later, the midday slot on the Sunday, which is always challenging, and they beat the Geraldton Buccaneers. Now, Zach Gatorna was missing. He's a massive part of it, but it'll be very interesting to see the lineup moving forward. They brought in David Okwira into the starting lineup, removing Brian Voquel. It was Tevin Jackson on Sunday. He inspired their efforts. Bryden Hobbs, he was great, solid this weekend. But Tevin Jackson was huge, and they needed that. Like, they needed to split 1-1. They've been losing and going down the ladder, and teams like Joondalup went 2-0 for this weekend. So, yeah, really, real Jekyll and Hyde, and it's bizarre. Like, it seems like they're playing against these top of the table teams and playing with confidence and winning games, but the games that they're expected to win are losing them or getting really close. So, yeah, very interesting to see how they go this weekend.
So you mentioned the Flames likely to finish on top. Is the top 8 set?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Eastern Suns and Cougars are pretty much, they were 9th and 10th, and they've lost. Eastern Suns lost both games this weekend. So you would think the way the top 4 is pretty much set as well. Rockingham, Perry Lakes and Geraldton play this weekend, and that's obviously a really good encounter. I think they're playing at Active West Stadium up in Buccaneers land. And they'll finish top 2 and 3. The 8 is definitely not set. And in terms of how that goes, Lakeside will be playing, we sort of mentioned, they play Joondalup and Warwick this weekend. So that 5th to 8th and that seeding will go. Warwick have been on a tear. So these next 2 weeks, I love how basically every game is finished on Saturday night in a couple of weeks' time for the NBL1 Awards night. So we'll know. Basically, you'll be able to tune in a couple of weeks to see where they're all sitting.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Let's finish up with your MVPs from the weekend just gone.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go by Melissa Brankovic and Willerton, but I want to give a special shout out Natalie Chow. Sort of mentioned her before. She had 34 points and 7 against Goldfields, and then 28 and 5 against the Joondalup Wolves. And it's tough to give an MVP to a team that splits the weekend and goes 1-1, but we spoke about it. They're playing backs against the wall, and she responded in an emphatic fashion. In the men's side, you can't go by Quentin Dove. He had 40 points and I think 13 boards against the Eastern Suns. They were challenged. They were certainly challenged against the Eastern Suns, and then he responded with 30 points against Mandurah Magic. He's a sneaky MVP candidate. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it for the season, barring Devondrick Walker. But he's put up some massive numbers. I think that's maybe his 3rd or 4th 40-point game, but they were very solid players throughout this weekend.
You are the stud to my studette, Greg Hire.
Always. Look at that. Thanks, mate.
Always good to talk NBL1 West with you, and we will do it again next week.
Thanks, Meg. Take care.
Well, it is the penultimate round in NBL1 East, and to tell us everything that's happening in the conference, as she always does, Jacinta Govid joins me. Welcome, Jacinta. We missed you last week.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me back. Was tied up with Asia Cup duties on the come down, as I'm sure you were as well. So unfortunately, I couldn't join the show last week, but I'm glad I could this week.
Yes, we are too. Let's talk about all that's been happening. I think NBL1's power couple put on a hell of a performance at the weekend.
They sure did. Power couple on and off the court in Mikaela Domkins and Leilani Mitchell, because I tell you what, their chemistry as players on court is unmatched. I recommend we go back and watch this game from round 16 against the Central Coast Crusaders and just watch their chemistry in the pick and roll. But they did absolutely everything they could in this game to make sure that their team, the Inner West Bulls, got their 5th win of the season. Both Domkins and Mitchell playing the full 40 minutes and racking up some big stats. So Domkins is already the leading rebounder in NBL1 East, and she ended with a double-double of 24 points and 20 rebounds. And Leilani was just on fire from everywhere, and she ended up almost having a triple-double. But she ended with 31 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists, shooting 6 from 12 from the three-point line and 7 from 8 from the free throw line. And like I said, that highlights package of those two is admirable.
They are dynamos, and NBL1 East, but NBL1 as a competition in general is so lucky to have both of them. Mikaela coming off a Player of the Week last week. They might be battling for it this week, which could make some interesting times at home. Let's move on now because there was a shark attack in Albury, Jacinta.
Big shark attack in Albury. Now, you wouldn't normally associate Albury with sharks at all, given it is, a very well inland city. But the Sutherland Sharks went down, made the big road trip, and got away with a good win on the road, actually, winning 100-94. And from what I told, it was a star-studded affair. So for the losing home side, Mikaela Ruef, she provided another triple-double. I'm pretty sure that's 2 triple-doubles in a row now from round to round. She had 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 14 assists, while her teammate Mallory Bates had 28 points and 10 rebounds. But leading the Shark attack, probably coming off those rose gold vibes from the Asia Cup, was Loz Nicholson. She was unstoppable. She had 39 points and 9 rebounds, and she shot at 67% overall. And from what I'm told, she had 10 from 11 at halftime. So I reached out to Coach Jeremy Jones from the Sutherland Sharks just to give a comment on the game. And he said it was a really exciting game to be a part of, and it really showcased the quality of the NBL1 East women's competition with high caliber performances from both teams.
That's a great wrap up, and what great times for Laura Nicholson representing her country, her junior club, and now the Sydney Flames and the WNBL, all in her home state of New South Wales. Let's move on to the men's now because we know that at this time of the year we've got teams vying for finals, but there's also teams out of contention that have their own little pieces of joy, and that was the case for one team.
Certainly. We've got to give a big shout out to the Hornsby Ku-ring-gai Spiders men's team who got their first win of the season. And while we just did wrap up round 16 with 2 rounds to go, certainly better late than never. So they ended up taking a trip to Manly Warringah and they snatched a win there on the road by 2 points. And they did it all without their star-studded player, Sharif Saipaya, with Ben White stepping up big for the Spiders, and he had 25 points with 63% shooting overall. And I think Ben White was really on the berth to have a breakout game, so it's great that he did it in the game that the Spiders could rack up their first win.
Good on the Spiders. We love to see that. And finally, the Crusaders. They got things done in a big way.
My word, that is my team. I had the pleasure of commentating this particular game against the Inner West Bulls yesterday, but this is on the back of a big win against Bankstown Bruins away as well. So that's can be quite a journey from the Central Coast to Bankstown, and it literally went down to the wire. So after trading 3-pointers from both teams in the dying seconds, it ended with a massive block from point guard Luke Cassidy from the Crusaders to ensure that they got that 2 to 3 point win in the end. Then they had to back up on Sunday and play the second place team, Inner West Bulls. Thankfully, it was at home. It was the last home game for the Central Coast Crusaders as well, and it was a packed house. The Crusaders came out with one of their best games of all season, and they also were missing 2 of their key players in James Trustham and Aaron Redhead. And the Crusaders were up by as much as 24 points in the third quarter, but the class of the Inner West Bulls was not going away quietly. They came out charging in the fourth quarter and got it within 2 points, but it came down to a baseline play with about 1.9 seconds to go, where Time again came up with a big defensive clutch play to stop Alex Higgins-Titcher from a layup. Now, the clip is on the NBL1 and NBL1 East socials of this particular play, and I can tell you the armchair critics are already out if it was a foul, if it should have been a violation because the inbounder was actually moving along the baseline. So it was another controversial topic of NBL1 East. I don't think we've had a season without some controversy, but that's how we like it down here. But we have to give big shout outs to the 2 point guards. AJ Lawton from the Crusaders had what was described as a very loud 37 points, and including 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals. That included 6 3-pointers in that 37 points. And Blake Morrow from the Inner West Bulls he also had 37 points. It was talking to him after the game. He didn't realise he racked up 37 points. But when you get to the foul line 17 times, I think you're pretty on track to have a pretty big game.
Yeah, he's a character, isn't he? Blake Morrow, we had him on the show a few weeks ago, so great to see him playing well. Great summary, Jacinta. We look forward to talking to you again next week as we get closer and closer to the end of the regular season with finals on the horizon.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to finals time, and watch this space.
Watch this space. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Well, the final round is ahead of us in NBL1 Central. Some teams have cemented their spot in the finals series, but others are playing for their final positions in this round. And to discuss that, Tristan Prentice joins us. Tristan, how are you going today ahead of the big final weekend?
Nina Marnie, Megan, that's Garner for hello. We had a fantastic First Nations round down here in South Australia. So let's get straight into this and talk about some of the teams that are fighting for final spots.
Well, we'll start with the women, where the Sabers have had an incredible season and they will finish top. That is one thing we do know.
That is certainly one thing we do know, is that the Sturt Sabers will definitely finish top. They have one more game left next round. You think they would take care of that against the Eastern Mavericks, but they're looking at a potential 18-0 record for the season and going into finals absolutely on fire.
Then let's take a look at the Southern Tigers. What was their weekend like as they sit in second?
Well, for the Southern Tigers, they went 2-0 over the weekend, Megan, and they defeated the South Adelaide Panthers 87-58. Morgan Yeager had 18 points, 12 rebounds and 6 assists. Bianca Stasinowski joined her with 18 points and 7 rebounds. And they also defeated the North Adelaide Rockets 78-88 in that 2-0 streak over the weekend. Yeager again, 24, 11 and 4 for her. McKendrick came back with 28 points, 5 rebounds and 3 assists. But the key stat out of that one on the weekend, Megan, was the fact that Brittany Hernandez had 19 points, 14 rebounds and 5 blocks. They had 12 blocks against the South Adelaide Panthers, and the North Adelaide Rockets, they had 4 blocks, where Brittany Hernandez collected 21 points and 15 rebounds. She's a big factor for the Southern Tigers heading into the final round very soon. She's obviously had a season where she struggled to solidify her position in the 5 spot for the Tigers, but the last couple of weeks we've seen that happen, and now they are going to play West Adelaide to finish the season, and the Southern Tigers can still seal the top 2 with a win, but if they lose, they might slip to 3rd if the Flames win and hold their split.
So just on the Flames, they split their weekend. So where are they currently sitting? What does it look like for them?
Well, it looks like for them, after defeating the Eagles 93-76 and losing to the Panthers 92-78, Megan, they're going to play North Adelaide. They can actually claim second, the Norwood Flames. It's going to come down to their shooting outside. They shot 23 triples on the weekend through Shana Thompson with 22 points and 25 points. And obviously we talk about Ali Wilson every single week. 22, 14 rebounds and 10 assists in a triple-double, and also 20 points and 13 rebounds against the Panthers. But they could also, with a loss, drop as low as 4th if West Adelaide win, who have the split over them. They'll either be 2nd, 3rd or 4th by the end of the season, Megan.
So some crunch games this weekend which will determine those spots. How does the rest of the 8 look like shaping up?
The rest of the 8 looks like, with the West Adelaide Bearcats, they play the Southern Tigers, and with a win, if results go their way, amazingly, they lift them into 3rd place. A loss, and they'll potentially be in a 3-way tie with the Panthers and the Rockets, which they have actually lost their splits to. So they could finish as low as 6th, the West Adelaide Bearcats. The South Adelaide Panthers play the Woodville Warriors, who they've struggled with in the past traditionally, but hold their own destiny in their hands after a win over the Flames. They hold the split over both West, but not over North Adelaide and Forestville. They could finish as high as 4th or as low as 7th. And then the 7th team in there, the 6th and 7th teams, I should say, in there, Megan, North Adelaide Rockets, they blew it on the weekend in some ways. They suffered 2 losses to the Mavericks and the Tigers. That puts them in a must-win situation against Norwood. If they can get to 10 wins and the Panthers and Bearcats, who they hold the split over, slip, they can actually finish as high as 4th. But a loss means that they can actually fall as low as out of the finals pretty much. And in the Forestville Eagles, they are relying on other teams to do it. They play Centrals. If they can get to 9-9 with results going their way, they can actually get into a three-way tie with the Panthers and the Rockets, who they have splits over. And it could eventually come down to higher goal difference between those three teams or highest goals scored, which is in favour of the Eagles and the Rockets, respectively, Megan.
It could be a very dramatic final round, and if some of those results do come to fruition, calculators, abacuses, it could all be needed to work out where those final teams are going to come into those last spots in the 8 as we move focus now to the men's side of things in NBL1 Central. And we also know who will finish top of the ladder there.
Yeah, we certainly do. The West Adelaide Bearcats, they finish up with a team next week in the league, and obviously they're going to be finishing top. You would think that they would get that final win and get to 15 wins and 3 losses for the West Adelaide Bearcats. So it's down to second all the way through to 7th to find out who finishes where.
So Forestville Eagles and South Adelaide Panthers currently sit on a 12-5 season record.
Yes, they certainly do. The Forestville Eagles sit in second at the moment, but went 1-1 on the weekend. They kept the door ajar. They lost to the Flames 100-98 on Friday night, but backed it up against the Woodville Warriors, winning a tight 113-115. Adam Doyle was sensational, 10 points, 3 rebounds and 9 assists to go with 24 points, 10 rebounds and 13 assists, triple-double for him. They actually gave up an average of 48.5% over the weekend, the Eagles, to the Warriors and the Flames. They conceded that amount from the field. But it was Greg Mays with 42 points and 33 points that really steered them to at least those wins and staying competitive in that other game. They play Centrals. They can lock up top 2 with a 13th win. A loss, and they rely on the Panthers and the Sabers below them, which could be a 3-way tie. They hold the splits over both.
Gee, that's a huge performance by Greg that will put him into player of the round contention for NBL1 Central. And then we've got a bit of a logjam for the remaining spots.
Yeah, we certainly do. You mentioned the South Adelaide Panthers on 12-5. They actually won both their games on the weekends against the Tigers and the Flames. They're number 1 in the league for offensive rebounds. That's a key for them. And Daniel Johnson went near some double-doubles. He's going to be crucial as they go up against the Woodville Warriors. They could finish as high as second if the results go their way, but they could also finish as low as 4th if they lose and Sturt win.
Well, we know we're in for a very dramatic final round. I think everyone will be either at the games, watching on KO, or glued to the app to see how some of these results unfold and where teams end up on the final 8 positions heading into finals. And we look forward to previewing the finals next week.
Absolutely, Megan. No problem at all. Nathala and Nathara to you.
Another big episode of the NBL1 show. Can't wait to see how the final round unfolds for 3 of our conferences this weekend. Some massive games that are going to make up the final standings on the ladder. And then we've got East and West to have their final rounds of their home and away campaigns next weekend. Before we go, a special little shout out for Christy Rinaldi, the Ballarat Miners veteran who played game 350 last round, and she will retire from basketball this weekend. She epitomises so many of our players in NBL1. She's played for the club for 20 years, lives in Melbourne, works night shift as a police officer, and she's got a baby as well, but continues to travel and play for her hometown and junior clubs. So congrats, Christy, on an incredible career. Enjoy the massive weekend of action that's happening right around the country this weekend, and we'll be back this time next week to wrap it all up.